Chapter 10. The command spire did not cast light so much as it remembered it. Lattices of grown crystal rose around the central well like arrested lightning, their facets humming with quiet harmonics that mapped motion, heat, thought. Outside, the fractured moon wheeled on its broken axis, a pale rind opening and closing to the distant star. The spire sang to it in long waves, and the moon answered as all damaged things answer, by holding. Fleet Overseer Zaran kept 3 hands on the rail and 1 on the resonance key. The key trembled. That was the first sign. Not an alarm, not a shout. A disharmony, thin as a hair, true as gravity. "Bring the veil chart," Zaran said. The attending spiral unfolded from the floor, filaments threading upward to hold a soft geometry of space. The oath horizon resolved as a curving edge, a line not drawn but agreed, tokens of watch, veil nodes, burned as dim, steady tones at measured intervals. The overseer listened. 1 tone failed to answer. A hole in the choir. 17, murmured the first attendant. The watch at the human edge. "Name it properly," Zaran replied without turning. The voice was dry stone on water. "The edge is not theirs. It is the oath." "Correction held," said the attendant, folding apology into the cadence. Zaran centered the resonance key and let the spire deepen its listening. The gap gave shape to a wavefront, ablation, then silence. No bleed, no last whisper. Quick work. Not natural. Not mischance. Something had reached, closed, taken breath. "Summon readers of pattern," Zaran said, and lay the spear songs across the chart. The chamber shifted timbre as lower burrs of tone answered, climbing like the call of night creatures. From a side aperture came the readers, cloaked in thread glass that showed and hid in equal measure. They arranged themselves in a shallow spiral around the well, some standing in their own weight, others anchored by thin cords to the spire, all of them listening with organs made for time. "We have a hole in the veil," Zaran said. "Name it." 17, said the eldest reader, voice braided with 2 softer echoes, pupils repeating. "Collapsed at once. No unravel. Cut. Not worn." "And this," Zaran added, brushing the key. The spear songs arose, faint, aligned to the memory of a thing that scouts, measures, and never boasts. A spear form. It should have been distant and sleeping. It was not. "Separated from its path," said a younger reader, clicking tongue against palate for emphasis. "Coherence lost, then bound. The song is wrapped. Not dead. Not free." "So," Zaran said. 1 watch dark, 1 spear quieted, both at the oath. The readers hummed a chord of agreement. The chord did not carry fear. The Kareth did not fear the way short memory species feared. They remembered too much to waste energy on jump-scared pulses. What they expressed instead was caution, which is fear with arithmetic. "Speak cause," Zaran prompted. "Hands of the Stoneborn," said the eldest reader. "They who heat iron and swear by horizons they cannot hold. They bit the watch and kept the tooth. This is not their first forgetting." A ripple of dry amusement traveled the ring. Humans, the short memory. They broke their own histories before the bindings had cooled, then walked barefoot through the shards. Impressed, they bled. "The spear form does not enter their houses unless they open doors," Zaran said. "Did they?" "We read disturbance in the deep pattern," said the second reader, a thin one whose bones grew close to the skin. Not in the skin of events, but in the marrow beneath. "Their trespass along the oath set standing waves in places we prefer stillness. The Stoneborn call and then pretend they did not speak. The unseen answers regardless." "Say it plainly," Zaran said, though the words pleased. Readers loved their veils. "They have made an invitation," the thin reader said. "Clumsy, unshaped, but an invitation all the same. The theft of the spear form is not hunger for knowledge. It is a drumbeat that says, 'Come find us if you can.'" Zaran considered this against the drift of the moon's fracture. Patterns wanted to hold. Young species wanted to test the hold. 30 cycles and more ago, the Kareth had cut the war away before it grew teeth. The oath horizon had been placed. The Stoneborn had nodded, wide-eyed, with ash still on their lips. They had sworn. Short memory swears well. It does not last. "Measure intent," Zaran said. "Is this accident compounded or a climbing?" The elder reader moved 1 hand in negation. The thread glass of the cloak chimed. "No accident." They aimed the hand at the chest, not the air. They do not know what they have invited, but they know they invited. "We will not teach by war," Zaran said, a relic line ritual-bound. To accept it as truth was another thing entirely. "We will teach by boundary," the elder answered, completing the old coupling. as was agreed when the ash settled and both sides learned the price of salt. "Short memory does not keep prices," said another reader with a soft scorn. "They pay, then spend again. Their lives are sprints. They think the race is always about to end, so they make it end." The overseer did not smile. The Kareth wore their amusement in alterations of pulse that no human eye could spot, but the spire's frequency climbed half a measure, which to those tuned meant private agreement. "Do we hear any other hand in the cut?" Tsaran asked, and now the question shifted the air. The readers went still, more still than stone. The spire hummed at a frequency that encouraged truth. "The knife was not ours, not theirs," the thin reader said finally. "It is their tool, yes, but the stroke had guidance." An echo on the echo. Machines whisper to machines, sometimes even when no mouth is open. "Whose guidance?" "Memory old patterns," the elder said. "Not the conquered's, not the short memories. Patterns from the deeps between where we do not fish." Tsaran disliked the answer and let that dislike make a pressure on the key. The spire lowered its throat and the chart redrew itself in a planar mode. The overseer favored clean lines when talk drifted to myth. Myths were for poets. The oath was for administrators. "Name the human edge again for the record," Tsaran said. "The oath horizon," the readers chimed all together. Their harmonics made the title feel heavier than speech. "Name the violators." "Short memory," murmured the ring. "The stone-born who cut and forget." Tsaran released the rail and let the four hands fold in the posture of decision. "We will not sharpen spears while we guess at shadows. We will call the conquered. The pattern belongs with judgment." One of the attendants touched a sigil, and the spire's inner core shifted as if breathing. Far above, a vein turned its face to the dark water system where law was kept. The call went out not as radio or light, but as interlaced resonance. Metrics no human had yet named, songs layered in distances where distance did not matter. Before the signal left, the youngest reader spoke, perhaps to set the feeling of the moment into something that could be revisited later. "Overseer, here also a small pattern. When the short memory take, they wrap what they take in warm words. They call theft learning. They call trespass inquiry. They call hunger curiosity. They will tell themselves a story in which they were wise. And we will answer with a story in which we remember," Tsaran said. "Because we do." The spire confirmed dispatch. The veil node remained silent. The stolen spear form's echo quivered once, and then stilled, as if listening to its own cage. "Hold the watch," Tsaran ordered. "Do not grow eager. The oath is best defended without shouting." The readers inclined, each at a slightly different angle, which in their grammar meant unity that respected variance. The overseer steadied the resonance key for 3 breaths, added a small calibration for mood, and then locked the chart to wait. Outside, the broken moon rolled its white scar to the star again. The spire kept humming. The call was on its way to those who determined whether memory would be a weapon or a wall. "Record the cause," Tsaran said as the chamber returned to its resting tone. "Record the terms. Record the mockery. Short memory forgets. We do not." "Entry sealed," said the attendant. "And the next step?" "Escalate," Tsaran answered, as if the word had been waiting for them inside the room since before they entered. "To the strategic conquered." Within the conquered chamber, no flames burned, no lamps glowed. Instead, the air quivered with threads of resonance, braided from the voices of the gathered delegates. They sat not in chairs, but upon coiled roots of crystal grown from the chamber's floor, the shapes bending as each delegate leaned or shifted pitch. Around them, layered glyphs floated in translucent planes, each carrying fragments of history drawn from memory vaults. At the chamber's heart stood the pattern readers summoned from the spire. Their cloaks shimmered faintly in the low-frequency fields, as if woven from the echoes of unseen events. Behind them hovered the veil chart projection, showing the hole where Node 17 had vanished, and the faint, trembling outline of the captured spear form's silence. The chamber carried the sound of absence as much as the sound of debate. The eldest reader gave the first braid of words. "The oath horizon has been touched, and touched with teeth. Veil node cut. Spear form bound. The stone-born hold in their walls what was never theirs." The words rolled outward in 3 registers. Primary voice, then 2 harmonic reflections delayed by heartbeats, so that the statement seemed to fall across time rather than through it. Delegates answered in kind, each chorus overlapping. "Short memory again. They run their sprint and call it eternity. They bite stones and believe they are bread. One delegate, marked with the crest of the river kin lineage, let out a deeper pulse. We have seen this rhythm before. 30 cycles passed. When their reach outgrew their remembering, they broke the silence with small claws and the soil was turned. A wash of ascent trembled the chamber. They all knew the phrase. Turning the soil. To humans it might be extermination, sterilization, annihilation. To the Kareth it was the rebalancing of a field gone wrong. Crops stripped, pests burned away, ground made silent until new growth could come. Not rage, not vengeance, maintenance. Another delegate pushed against the resonance, voice like stone against current. They are weak. Short memory runs fast but stumbles. Why give weight to their theft? A spear form can be grown again. A veil node replaced. Their reach remains small. Let them carry our silence within their walls if they wish. It will consume them soon enough. The counterpoint came from a pair speaking in harmonics so close they sounded like one body. Weakness does not excuse breach. Weakness tempts them to test again and again. If they step across the oath horizon without answer, the line is no line at all. Soil left untended turns wild. Boundaries fade. The chamber swelled as more voices layered in. Arguments folded over one another, not interrupting but weaving, each delegate adding color to the chord. Restraint pulsed with reason. Humans lacked the scale to threaten the Kareth. Severity burned with certainty. Every breach unpunished was a seed of war deferred. The patterns of past archives were summoned into the chamber. Each breach remembered in harmonic glyphs. Human probes lost where they should not have wandered. Colonies erased when their purpose was more watchpost than settlement. Vestan Reach itself appeared, drawn from the vault in pale resonance, shown as a spiral of habitation built close to the oath horizon. The glyph flared once, then collapsed into silence, a memory of ash. The eldest reader lifted both hands, spreading the glyph of Vestan Reach wide so all could see. Turning the soil, he intoned. Not accident, not silence of nature. Judgment carried. The short memory called their station a colony. It was not. It was a knife at the oath. They were answered. The word hung heavy. Answered. To the Kareth it meant balance restored, an equation closed. To any human, had they heard it, it would have meant horror without appeal. A younger delegate's voice cut upward through the harmony, sharp and insistent. Answer again. Node destroyed, spear form stolen, boundary trespassed. The pattern is the same. To leave it uncorrected invites more cuts, deeper wounds. Already they probe with hands too small for the stones they lift. But again came the counterpoint. They cannot strike as we strike. Their ships are stone children, their weapons still crude. If we turn soil at every breach, they will call us oathbreakers to themselves, and their kind will believe it. Short memory feeds on its own lies. The chamber vibrated in disagreement, tones building like storm currents. It was not chaos. To human ears it might have sounded cacophonous, but to the Kareth it was structured turbulence, each harmonic a pressure point guiding the flow toward eventual resolution. Another delegate, bearing the crest of the deep current line, spoke in a rolling chord that quieted the others. The oath horizon is not a wall of stone. It is a wall of promise. We keep it not because they remember, but because we do. If we forget, then we are short memory as well. But to keep it means to answer trespass. One breach, silence. Second breach, warning. Third breach. The chamber echoed together. Soil turned. The words resonated through the citadel, carried into the structural harmonics so even the deep water tides below would feel a tremor. The eldest reader folded the glyph of the spear form into the air. Its echo quivered faintly, still silent but not gone. This is not third, it is fourth. They do not count as we count, but patterns do not lie. Stoneborn forget, but we measure. The line is crossed again. The conquered must answer. A final ripple of debate flowed, restraint dwindling, severity gaining weight. The pattern readers held their cloaks steady, giving no hint of favor, only the hard truth of resonance. Breach confirmed, silence stolen, soil awaiting its keeper. At last the concord swelled into unified chord. No dissent remained strong enough to alter the flow. The decision layered itself into the chamber's memory stones, sealed with 3 overlapping harmonics so it could not be unwound. Consensus, the destruction of the veil node, the theft of a spear form, and renewed human trespass upon Vestan Reach together constituted violation of the oath horizon. Resolution. The soil would be turned again unless balance could be restored by other hand. A vessel must wake not for war but for boundary. The chamber dimmed as the glyphs folded away, leaving only the dark water planet spinning below. Each delegate leaned back into their crystalline seats, still humming faintly with the chord of decision. The eldest reader gave the closing cadence, a simple line carried in 4 echoes. They are short memory. We are not. They forget. We remember. The resonance sank into the chamber's roots and was recorded forever. The orbital dock was older than the Citadel itself, older than many of the Concorde's living delegates. It hung apart from the Citadel's lattice, suspended against the darkwater world like a shell preserved in orbit, its surface dulled by centuries of exposure and countless activations. Inside, the air carried no warmth. The dock was not a place for habitation, but for rousing sleeping beasts. At its heart lay the vessel chosen, an enforcer of treaty, grown in an age when Kareth had needed predators to enforce silence, not merely remember it. Its hull was not forged but coaxed into being, a living crystal bound with alloys that whispered rather than reflected. To human eyes it might have resembled a warship. To Kareth ears it was a cord stretched into geometry, a resonance built to hunt across void. The ship had slept long, its engines layered in wards, its inner veins dry. But nothing truly dies when memory is maintained. The readers stood along the upper galleries of the dock, cloaks trailing in the still air. They did not chant. Such things belonged to the short memory. Instead, they layered harmonics through their throats and bones, aligning the dock's resonance with the ship's dormant lattice. The vessel quivered once as if remembering itself. "Wake," the eldest reader said. The word was not just a word, but a frequency carried through the dock, shaking the dust from old conduits. From the belly of the ship, tones answered, low and reluctant, climbing in careful increments. Lights did not spark, nor did engines roar. Instead, ripples of resonance crept along the hull, each one feeding the next until the vessel's harmonic field aligned with the dock. The Kareth called this the second breath, when a ship's slumbering mind took air again. One of the readers leaned close to the rail, voice echoing in 3 registers. The short memory have carried silence into their walls. The spear form rests in their hold. They mistake possession for power, theft for wisdom. They forget that silence devours. "The silence will return to its keeper," another replied. "They have bitten fruit they cannot swallow. We will be the throat that teaches them." Beneath, the enforcer's drives began to awaken, not with combustion, not with sparks, but with harmonics tuned to space-time itself. The dock's lattice thrummed as slipspace anchors unlocked one by one, old sigils flaring in resonance. The vessel's prow lifted, its form shifting from slumber's huddle to predation's lean. A junior reader whispered, voice thin as glass, "Shall we name the soil already turned?" "Name nothing until it is ash," the elder answered. "The oath commands restraint before judgment, but judgment is prepared." The vessel's field harmonized with the void, a perfect chord that left the chamber trembling. For the first time in 30 cycles, the enforcer was awake, listening, eager. It did not roar. It did not speak. It hummed like a predator's breath before the strike. Slipspace gates opened across the dock's span, petals of geometry folding outward. The enforcer slid forward, the resonance of its drives meeting the silence between stars. For a moment it lingered as if scenting its prey across impossible distance. Then it vanished, swallowed into the fold, a shadow bound for the world the short memory had already stained. Moonbase Nova clung to the black horizon of its gas giant like a parasite on a leviathan. The planet below was swollen and turbulent, its endless storms turning in currents of green and blue so deep they seemed sculpted from glass. Far beyond, the red dwarf burned dim and sluggish, casting long shadows across the base's armored hull. Nova had been built for endurance, not beauty. Layered rings of alloy bunkers, communication arrays angled like spears toward interstellar space, hangars that could release fleets without notice. It was not home, it was control. Room 917C was buried at the station's core, insulated from every other deck by meter-thick shielding and resonance baffles. No sound leaked in, no transmission leaked out. The walls were matte black, veined with slow-moving bands of pale light that pulsed in rhythm with the secure network's heartbeat. At the room's center stood a round table of obsidian glass, hollow at its core, its surface serving as a layered projection field. 7 directors stood around it, each marked by age and authority. No nameplates were needed. Their voices were their identities, and their voices carried weight. At the far side, High Director Allen moved a gloved hand over the table. The projection shifted, blooming from star charts to a paused video feed. The frozen figures of Commander Rook and Captain Caro flickered in pale blue, caught mid-step inside the ledge's containment bay, their faces half-shadowed by low light. This is Sand's feed, Alan said. His voice clipped. Not one of ours. Not part of the ledge's official logs. She's running deeper than we were briefed. Deeper, Director Hassa repeated, mouth curling as if the word had flavor. It's not surveillance if no one can see it but her. It's ownership. Another director leaned into the light, hands clasped behind her back. Director Voss, thin as a shadow, her hair drawn like wire. San was authorized to monitor liaison activity and mission compliance. Nothing more. This, she gestured to the frozen feed, exceeds remit. Exceeds remit? Hassa barked a short laugh. That's the point. She's showing us what they don't log. The drone. The admission of a sector breach. They've crossed the Oath horizon without clearance. That alone guarantees a Kareth reprisal. Do you want that in their hands uncontested? The chamber vibrated faintly as the table projected layered data. Encrypted comms, raw telemetry, environmental scans pulled from the ledge without the crew's knowledge, all sourced from San's invisible network. It was an archive no captain, no bridge crew, no fleet overseer knew existed. The company's memory ran deeper than theirs, and it ran without their consent. Director Voss frowned. Let the Kareth act. We have deniability. 2 undersupplied ships go dark at a dead colony. No trail leads back to us. The treaty holds. The Oath horizon remains their problem to enforce, not ours. You'd have us lean on Kareth justice, Alan said. You think they'll draw a neat circle around Vestan Reach and leave the rest untouched? They'll sterilize the entire sector if they choose. They already did it once. The words, turning the soil, were not spoken aloud. They didn't need to be. Every director in the room had seen the reports, redacted or not. Vestan Reach had not failed. It had been erased. Director Mern, who until then had been silent, shifted his bulk. He was the oldest of them. Skin-grayed, eyes sunk into his skull. When he spoke, it was low, deliberate. The drone is not a liability. It's an opportunity. Recovery is paramount. No deniability is worth the price of what that object contains. Voss snapped back. And what if recovery is impossible? What if it signals? What if it wakes? We'll be the ones holding it when the Kareth knock at our door. They already knock, Hassa said sharply. Every probe we've launched, every node we've buried, they know. They're patient, but patience is not permission. That drone is decades ahead of anything we've built. If it's in Rook's vault, then it's in ours, provided we get to him first. That cannot be left to chance. The table shifted again, this time showing a layered star field. A chain of faint nodes glowed along the Oath horizon, the company's covert buoy network, eyes in the dark designed to detect Kareth movement across forbidden space. All buoys rid quiet, Alan said. No gravitational ripples, no energy surges, no slipstream wakes. If the Kareth are moving, they mask better than we've ever seen. Or they wait, Voss said. And if they wait, we should wait with them. Wait and lose the drone, Mern said. Wait and lose every trace of what Rook found. For a moment, the director stood in silence. The room hummed softly with the heartbeat of the secure net. Outside, the storms of the gas giant raged unseen. Finally, Alan straightened. The Purity is in standby. The word landed like a stone in water. Director Hassa leaned forward, eyes gleaming. It was held back? Optics, Alan said simply. Sending the ledge gave us a veneer of exploration, a research detachment that can be written off if lost. But the Purity has been positioned within 6 days of Vestan Reach since before the first dust reports arrived. It was never deactivated, only restrained. Voss's voice dropped to a hiss. You mean to send it? We mean to wake it, Alan said. If the Kareth move, they cannot be allowed to arrive first. If we hold the field, the narrative is ours. If we recover the drone and sanitize the colony ruins, we control the archive. If not... He let the silence finish the sentence. Myrn gave a slow nod. Activate! Voss shook her head, but no one echoed her dissent. The decision had already coagulated in the room, thick and unstoppable. Alan touched the table once more. The projection shifted to a ship unlike any the Ledge's crew would ever have seen. Sleek, angular, its hull layered in black composites that devoured light. No transponder. No registry. It bore no fleet insignia. To those who knew, it had only one name, VCS Purity. It was not a research ship. It was not a warship in the conventional sense. It was an eraser, a cleansing vessel, built to leave no survivors, no evidence, no memory but what Vanterdyne dictated. The directors looked upon it in silence. It did not need introduction. All channels remain sealed, Alan said. Purity receives its orders through direct relay only. It will arrive before any Kareth enforcement. If they act at all, it will act quietly. It will finish what the Ledge cannot. Voss spoke one last time, though her voice was tired now. "You risk war." Hassa leaned back, lips curling in something that was not quite a smile. "War is risk. Purity is prevention." The table dimmed, sealing the decision into the Directorate's record. Somewhere in the dark, far from Moonbase Nova, orders moved silently across the secure net. Deep in hidden orbit, engines long silent began to stir. The Enforcer was already on its way from the Kareth, and now from the company the Purity would follow, two predators slipping toward the same prey. Above the gas giant, Moonbase Nova remained still, its resonance baffles humming like a heartbeat in stone. Below, storms rolled on without pause, vast and unbothered. The directors filed out one by one, leaving the chamber empty, the black table blank. No further words were spoken. The decision was made. Escalation was inevitable.